Hello, everyone. Sorry it's been a minute. Took a little break for a second. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this. Um, but yeah, just gonna go ahead and talk about sports this week. What's all going on? There's not been a lot of college football, that's why I've not been as motivated to do it. College football is more my sport, but we do have the NFL still going on. We got bowl season coming up, and the NBA season's still hot in the regular season pretty early on. Um, as far as the NFL goes, last night we had the Chiefs and the Chargers. I didn't expect it to be as close as it was. I expected the Chiefs to kind of run away with it. I felt the Chargers have been very inconsistent this year, and the Chiefs, although they've been inconsistent, they've been able to win games lately. Ever since their really, really bad start, 1-2, and looked like they were going to struggle to even make a playoff spot earlier this year. They've turned that around. They've turned it into 10-4, and right now the halfway one seed, you could say. I mean, if any of the 9-4 teams that were above them going in this week win, they're back down. So they're not really the number one seed. But as of right now, today, Friday, December 17th, the Kansas City Chiefs are the number one team in the AFC. And as far as what I saw last night, I mean, I saw Mahomes. I saw Mahomes for the first time in a while this season outside of the Raiders games. I mean, maybe he only plays good this year against AFC West teams, but I mean, we'll see how that continues going forward. They're going to have a lot of trouble in the playoffs if they don't keep it up. If we get to Kansas City, we saw early in the year, they're going to be out first round. If we get to Kansas City, we saw tonight, they're going to be a team to contend, and they're going to be a very hard team to go through in the playoffs. As for LA, I saw the LA Chargers. That's what I saw. I saw a team that's good. They're good enough to be in games, but they're not good enough to beat good teams. And it's just how they've been for a while now. Justin Herbert still can't get him over that hump. And, going forward, you're just going to have to hope it turns around and you're able to pick off a game. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think it's going to have to happen going forward. But 8-6, it's still an improved season for LA fans, the ones that do exist out there. As for the rest of the games, going on Saturday, we got the Raiders and the Browns. Browns, very interesting stuff going on there with Kevin Stefanski out, Baker Mayfield likely out, as well as Case Keenum, meaning Nick Mullins, the former 49er backup, might have to start in that game for the Browns, taking on a Raiders team. Both these teams are not safe when it comes to the AFC playoffs. They're both actually on the outside looking in, with the Bills not far ahead. Same record as the Browns. So that'll be a big game going forward in the playoffs. The Raiders lose, I say they're basically out. They're going to be 2 games back. It's going to be really hard in just 3 games to gain 2 games. Especially with 13 teams currently being in the hunt right now. You're going to have to hope for a lot. It's a must-win for the Raiders on Saturday, and they're going to know that going against a third-string quarterback that was on the practice squad yesterday. Actually, earlier today. They just now called him up this morning, was the report. So Nick Mullins likely going to be the starter on tomorrow on Saturday. I think the Raiders should win it, and I think the Raiders have all the reason in the world to win it. And because they're the Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to lose it. I just don't trust them. They have not. They should have beat Washington. They beat Dallas. They should have beat some other teams this year. I mean, they beat some teams they shouldn't have beat, and they lost to teams they should have beat. It's just the LA Raiders for you. And it's going to keep being that way until they get rid of Derek Carr, I think. Either that or they fix their defense, which has been bad ever since they traded Khalil Mack. One or the other's got to happen. One's not good enough to carry your weak team. The other's the reason it's weighing down. And as a GM, you got to decide which is more important. I think fixing the defense would be a lot more important, but the way most fans feel, I think changing Derek Carr is what's likely more realistic to happen, sadly, for Raiders fans. Yeah, I think the Browns probably will end up winning this one just because the Raiders, they don't win games they're supposed to win. So I can't trust them. And the Browns won a game with a backup quarterback already this year against a solid Denver Broncos team that's in the playoff hunt themselves. And then for the night game, the Patriots and the Colts. The Colts are actually favored in this one, surprising to me. Patriots came in the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're 6-0 on the road this year. Colts are 3-4 at home. Carson Wentz has had an okay year. Mac Jones has been solid enough for the Patriots. They played Patriot football most of the year, and I think that's going to continue. They're going to get the win on the road on Saturday night, and Indy fans are going to be scrambling, hoping that other teams that are 7-6 and 6-7 lose this week, because they're going to be in a tough spot after losing this game. And the Patriots are going to be back to the number 1 seed, at least for one more week. As for some of the big games on Sunday, Jets-Dolphins isn't big, but the Dolphins are in the playoff race, so them getting a win here will be important. I think they get it done. They're going to get to 7-7, and a Dolphins team that looked like they were battling for possibly a top 5 pick earlier in the year are now going to be battling for a playoff spot going into the final weeks. Cowboys-Giants rivalry game. It's not going to be a big game for some of y'all, but for people here in Texas, it's going to be a big game. Cowboys going to get it done easy. Giants suck. As always. Giants are freaking terrible. Saquon Barkley does not look like Saquon Barkley. That O-line has always been awful, but this year it's even worse because Jones and Barkley can't do anything. I mean, they couldn't do anything really in past years except get injured or throw interceptions, but it's not any better this year. They've already fired Jason Garrett, and yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys by a lot on the road in New York. Another game with playoff implications, the Panthers and the Bills. Carolina, they had that really big win against Arizona when they signed Cam. After that, they've lost every game since. That continues on the road in Buffalo. I hate to admit it. I really want Cam, to turn that magic on, get the Panthers back in the playoff race, but I think they'll pretty much be eliminated after this week when the Bills beat them in Buffalo. Eagles and the Washington football team, a very key divisional matchup, and a lot on the wild card to go on there. The Panthers won't necessarily be out, by the way, because they'll be 5-9. Technically, the highest team that could be above them will be 7-7, so they'll still be in the race, but it'll be really, really hard to go 8-9 at that point and hope that someone also goes 8-9 or worse. As for the Eagles football team game, Washington looked good. Then they got beat pretty bad by, I know the score was close, but they were handled in that Dallas game. They got lucky. Mike McCarthy kind of took a dump on his own foot and decided to go for it, go for passing the ball. Run the ball, Mike McCarthy. I mean, Cowboys fans should be pissed at this man's decisions this year. He has been absolutely terrible as a head coach. The Cowboys should be better than 9-4, but Mike McCarthy is weighing them down, and I think it's going to continue to be that way until Jerry Jones picks a coach that actually knows what the hell he's doing. But for this game, I think the Eagles win it just because the football team, I mean, that should be demoralizing to be on that big of a roll and to get your ass kicked like that at home by the Dallas Cowboys last week. And now you got a big game against an Eagles team that's kind of been getting rolling as of recently. And Jalen Hurts has looked solid. He's not looked great, but he's looked solid. I'm going to take the Eagles at home against the football team. They're favored by 12 in this game. That's a really rigged number. So if I was a betting man, take the football team in that game. It is not going to be no 12-point win, but I would take the Eagles to win the game. Another game with playoff implications, the Steelers at home against the Titans. Tennessee has been so-so, but they've been winning games since Henry got hurt. And Pittsburgh at one point looked like they were okay. At one point looked like they were terrible. And now they're back to looking like who the hell are the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. As long as Chase Claypool is playing, I don't think they're going to beat any team that's better than him. I think you got too many egotistical players on that Steelers roster. Big Ben is not Big Ben anymore. He's kind of a slump of himself. He was a slump of himself last year. They should have honestly moved on from him. I wouldn't have let him return. He was terrible last year, and he's been just as terrible this year. Seahawks do have Najee Harris. I'd feed him the ball a lot in this game. Titans don't play very good defense as of recently, even though when you think of the Titans of a few years ago, they were only defense and Derrick Henry, and now they're really just Derrick Henry, and without him, they're just a solid, well-coached team. But they'll win the game. The Steelers will keep it close, though. But Pittsburgh is going to be in a very tough spot after this week. 6-7-1 is going to be very, very hard to rally back in the playoff race. Bengals Broncos. It's another big game, isn't it? 7-6 teams. Bengals are in the playoffs. Broncos on the outside looking in. Broncos at home, they're favored by 3, but I don't think they're the better team. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals rebound after losing last week, and they'll get to 8-6. The Broncos will be 7-7 and looking around for some help in the playoff race. A lot of these games got some big playoff implications this week, don't they? Falcons 49ers 6-7 Atlanta. How about that? They're 6-7. They've looked really bad this year. They're 5-2 on the road. They're playing on the road against the 49ers, who are only 2-4 at home. San Fran favored by 9.5. I don't think the away and home records are going to affect this game. I think the 49ers are the far better team, and they should win this game and get to 8-6 and put the Falcons at 6-8 in a really tough spot. Packers Ravens. Lamar Jackson not playing. I'm not really going to feel like... I mean, if he does play, I'll be surprised. I don't think he's going to play. Saints Buccaneers, that's the Sunday night game. As much as I want to say the Bucs should blow them out, they're 6-0 at home. The Saints in the regular season have had Tom Brady's number. 3-0 against Tom Brady in the regular season. But with Taysom Hill, I'm not sure. Taysom Hill is not a good quarterback. He's not a quarterback. He's a tight end, fullback kind of guy that Sean Payton's, for some reason, likes to play at quarterback. Buccaneers should rout him. It should be a blowout on Sunday Night Football. But because of the way the games have gone as of recently, I would say keep an eye on it. And then the Vikings, Bears Monday night, not really a big game to worry about. The Vikings, if they win, they keep their playoff hopes alive. They can lose. They can afford to lose. The Bears need the win for their slim playoff hopes to stay alive. I think the Vikings will get it done, though, on the road. And if they don't, NFC North's really just going to have to rely on the Packers this year. So that's really it for the games this week. I'll be back. I'll be back to talk about some of the bowl games coming up this week. Bowl season starting. I'm actually watching the Toledo Middle Tennessee State game right now. So I'll get back to that and then have some information about college bowl games coming up this week.